Hello, so today I'm going for a walk up Catbells and maybe a bit beyond, see how I'm doing for time. It's a glorious sunny late January day. There's no wind at all, really lovely and still. And I'm starting the walk from Portinscale, and I've parked at Nichol End Marine where there's some parking on the road. And Nichol End for me has particular memories because as a kid I used to come here all the time. My parents used to keep a boat here, a Leisure 17, and a couple of those Leisure 17s sitting on the way in. And yeah, used to spend a lot of time here and used to love playing around here. So each time I come here to Nichol End, it sort of reminds me of my childhood. And yeah, lovely little spot. Nice cafe here as well. So if you're walking past Nichol End or getting the launch to or from here, do pop in to the cafe. So Catbells is a very popular Lake District fell. It's quite a small fell, it's not very high, so it's a good one for people who are not used to climbing the fells to climb. But also it's got some fantastic views, so you're rewarded with amazing views when you climb up it. But because of its location, it's close to Keswick, it is very, very popular, particularly in the weekends and summer months. So you will find lots and lots of people climbing it. But it is a great little fell. I like starting from Nichol End, from Portinscale, when I come here, although you can park a bit closer to Catbells itself. And from Nichol End, which is, as I say, in Portinscale, you walk along the path that actually takes you all the way around the lake if you want, and that in itself is a fantastic little walk to do. The only thing is, if you're walking around the lake, just bear in mind the level of the lake. When the lake level is high, the top end of Derwentwater does flood, and so you'll either need to wade through the water at the top end of the lake or find an alternative route depending on the height of the lake. But anyway, today I'm not walking all the way around the lake. I'm just going to walk to the foot of Catbells, go up there, and then see where I go from there. But yeah, great location to walk from, and beautiful woods and lake views and mountain views. It is a fantastic little walk to do. So not far from Nichol End you come to the Lingholm Estate. Lingholm Estate's got a fantastic cafe, gardens, really lovely place to stop. There's also a big car park here. This car park used to be free, so I used to love parking here, but they have now introduced parking charges. I think it's £4 for 3 hours, but if you park here and you get a voucher which you can use in the cafe, so I think you might get your money back if you use the cafe. But anyway, it's a good car park, but you do have to pay for it now, whereas it used to be free. But anyway, yeah, good location to park, and the cafe itself is well worth checking out. Right, I'm about a quarter the way up Catbells. As you can hear, I'm a bit breathless. Probably shows I'm not as fit as I should be. But also, although this isn't a very big fell, it is quite steep and you get a good workout. But the reason I've stopped here is just to show Skiddaw, which is behind me. So I was climbing Skiddaw only 6 days ago in the snow. So the summit was entirely covered in snow. And if you watch my previous video, hiking Skiddaw in winter, you'll see what it was like. So it's remarkable what difference a week can make. There's just 1 or 2 small patches of snow left on Skiddaw. That's all that's left from last week. Anyway, I'm gonna carry on and try and get ahead of the people that are catching up with me. So you've got cat bells in the distance behind me. It took me about 50 minutes from Nichol End to summit to cat bells. So if you go at a reasonable pace, it doesn't take long. Cat bells itself is very busy, lots of people up there. So I've come just a little bit further, carrying on my walk. And what you notice is once you get away from the summit of cat bells, it gets much quieter. So cat bells is a bit of a honeypot, lots of people up there. Different ages. It is a bit of a scramble towards the end, but nothing too difficult. Kids will enjoy it. But yeah, lovely little fell. So here I am on the summit of High Spy, 646 metres, no one around, and as you can see it's clouded over, so lost the lovely blue skies, but gonna start making my way down now. It's just gone 2 o'clock, so got probably a couple more hours of light, so gonna head down and walk back to Portinscale through Borrowdale and along the shores of Derwentwater. You could easily make this into a horseshoe walk because behind me is Dalehead and then Hindscarf, and if you go that way it makes a lovely little horseshoe route back into Newlands Valley. I'm not going to do it today, don't really have time, but I have done it in the past and it's a good walk to do. As you walk around the fells, you do see a lot of signs of the former industrial past of the Lake District, particularly mines and slate quarries, and I've just come across this slate quarry here. It looks really interesting. There's a tunnel or cave behind me. There we go. Be interesting to explore that. I do have a head torch, but I'm probably not going to go into it because I don't really have time. Obviously got to be careful exploring these places as well, but this one looks fairly safe to go into, certainly the first few meters. But yeah, obviously used to be a big quarry up here, and sort of trying to imagine what it would have been like, you know, 100 years ago maybe, when people were coming up here to work and the hillside would have been a place of industry. So you see a lot of these places scattered around the lakes. Okay, I changed my mind. I did decide to come in. It's quite a big cavern, but I've got to the end of it now. Yeah, fairly safe coming in here. Interesting to explore. Don't know if I can turn my phone around or camera around, see whether it'll show much. And that's as far as it goes. So I don't think my torch is particularly bright, certainly for filming, but it doesn't go any further than this. So interesting place to explore, but I'm going to head out now and make my way back down the fell. So you can hear it's quite wet, a lot of water coming in here, certainly in the entrance, and the entrance or the exit, depending which way you're going, is behind me. Interesting place to explore, and I've got the dog whining, so I better go and see what's happening with her. Right, so back out now, and it's quite a big site this. Just turn the camera around and you can really see the scale of the site. Yeah, so just spotted another little tunnel. I'm not going to go into it. I'd have to crawl, and I don't fancy crawling. But anyway, this little tunnel here behind me looks interesting. What I could really do with is a really decent torch that has a long beam, so I can shine it down and see how far that tunnel goes. I mean, obviously, needless to say, you do have to be careful around these sites. I never go into a place that I'm not, or I never go into a place that I think is unsafe. So I'm always very, very cautious. But anyway, yeah, it's really interesting. I don't think I've ever been this way before. I'll have to see if I can find more information about it when I go home and get internet access. Again, you can see the entrance to the cave here behind me. Okay, found another tunnel. That one I could get into, quite interesting. Goes for about 30 feet maybe, the tunnel, and then it opens up into a big cavern. So yeah, fascinating. I love exploring these places. I love industrial archaeology even, industrial archaeology, and yeah, imagining what this place would have been like when people were working up here. It's a, you know, pretty tough environment to work up. You have to get up the mountainside each day. It'll be cold, it'll be wet, dark. Yeah, tough life. And the Lake District is, of course, still very much a working landscape. There is still small industries in this area. Honister Slate Mine, not far from where I am now. That's still operating and is also a big tourist attraction. But the biggest industry, obviously tourism, huge industry, but the biggest industry here after tourism is, of course, farming. And this is a working landscape. Farmers have their sheep out on the fells, so it's still very much a working landscape. And obviously people live here in the Lake District, worked here in the Lake District. Although one of the big challenges facing the Lake District and also other parts of the country which are popular with visitors is that the cost to live here is very, very high indeed. A lot of these villages in the Lake District have holiday homes and second homes, and local people who want to live here, want to work here, can't actually afford to live in the Lake District anymore. And this is a major issue, major problem. Even very modest houses, when they go for sale, are well out of the reach of most people. And I know lots of people like the idea of owning a second home, a holiday home in the Lake District, but it's effectively killing the communities, it's killing the villages, because when you've got villages where people are only there for a short period of the year, or you've got visitors coming in and out, then that impacts the local community. It affects churches, it affects schools, because there are pupils to fill the schools. It affects businesses as well, and the sort of businesses that exist here. So this is a major issue here in the Lake District. Obviously tourism is hugely important for the economy, but it's trying to get that balance, particularly enabling local people to live and work in the Lake District and to afford to do that. My house is tied to my job, and I don't live in the Lake District, I live in Carlisle, although I have lived in the Lake District, grew up in the Lake District, but there's absolutely no way I could ever afford to live in the Lake District. No way I could afford to buy a property, and that's just the reality for so many people. Anyway, I'll get off my hobby horse and continue with the walk. This building here will make a fantastic bothy. Don't know if it's ever used for anything. It looks very well shut up. It would be an amazing location. There are one or two bothies in the lakes that you can use, but not as many as you get obviously in Scotland. It's in pretty good condition, this building, all things considered. And just over here you can see remnants of winding gear, I presume. Anyway. So the name of the quarry that I've just walked past and was looking around is Rigghead Quarry. There's very little information online about it. I've just been having a look. It was opened in the 19th century. It produced very high quality slate, but no information about when it closed or how many people worked there, which I'd find interesting. Anyway, I'm walking towards Castle Crag now, which marks the jaws of Borrowdale. Castle Crag itself is a fantastic little walk, get amazing views from there, definitely one worth doing. I'm not going to climb up there today because I climbed it not that long ago, and this walk is taking slightly longer than I planned because I keep stopping and looking and exploring, which is what you want to do in a walk, but I'll need to get back before it gets too dark, or hope to get back before it gets too dark, even though the path is a nice easy one from here. So yeah, the days are getting longer, which is lovely. A few weeks ago it would have been dark by now, but it's still very bright. But an hour or so, I reckon, back to the car. So I'll keep on plodding on. So Castle Crag is behind me. If you're interested in seeing a video about Castle Crag, I'll put a link here so you can go and watch that one. So as you can see, I didn't get back to the car before sunset, and it's now quite dark, well, in fact very dark. Still making my way back, probably another 25 minutes or so, half an hour to go, and you can hear the owls hooting and the woods coming alive at night, which is rather magical and mysterious.